All right, yeah, woo, woo.
Good job to everybody that got a medal, competed, and blah, 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 blah at the World Championships in Bern. Congratulations. And we're gonna only talk about that today, basically. So if you haven't watched it yet, spoilers.
All right, so that's been exciting so far.
Yes.
7-8 days in.
So, yes, all of those. What day is it? The 8th of August. 8 days in. A lot has happened.
A lot has happened.
I'd say let's concentrate on the finals.
Yes. Let's get straight into it. Big conversations to be had.
Yes, with the men bouldering round.
Yep.
Final bouldering round. Who unfortunately Adam missed out, which was
Indeed.
like unfortunate to see because in the semi-final round, like he really fought. Like he had so many beta breaks and he nearly got the top on 2 boulders, but not quite. So that was a big miss, unfortunately.
Yeah, big time.
What's something that you noticed in the men bouldering round that was cool, peculiar, or?
I think I was going to say that Adam Ondra thing as well, that his beta, when he went the upside down thing on problem number 2, I think it was, and he got through the hard part, he thought he got through the hard part, and then he got to the final part, and that looked like it wasn't too difficult.
Yeah.
It felt like it was just like the completion of that, that big move, and then he just fell on that. And I think it was a lot harder than it looked, because when I first saw it, I was like, how are you going to drop that, Adam? Like, you don't drop stuff like that.
Foot slip,
But actually, Kokorofuji kind of struggled with it. There was like quite a few other kind of guys that struggled with it as well. So really unfortunate not to see him in, but he wasn't the only veteran in the tournament, as we saw in the final, which was a huge win for Mika Mawem.
Indeed. I'd say a surprising win. Probably nobody would have really put him, in first place. I mean, there was Sorato and, Mejdi.
Yeah, Toby.
But that's the thing, he didn't make it into the finals either.
That was another big omission from the finals.
Indeed. But then one big pointer from this final is the no texture holds. It was it almost looked like glass when they first showed them. It was like, what is this? What type of plastic is this? And turns out it was smooth plastic.
Can we go back to Mika? I don't want to skip over Mika.
But
winning.
he won because of those holds as well, in a way.
Yeah, no, true.
That final boulder, those new holds, those new techniques, and all of these years of experience probably is what actually allowed him to get the zone and to actually get that gold medal.
No, I was thinking that as I was watching it, there was quite a few moments where I felt like it was his experience that really kind of tipped the balance in his favor. Yeah. There was quite a few moments where he had to keep super cool, not panic. I think there was one moment where he kind of missed a zone. I think it was on boulder number 2 or 3. But he didn't panic. He kind of completed the boulder and he kind of made it to the top. And then just another couple of ones where he had to kind of really think on his feet and just kind of make that reach for the last hold. I think it was boulder number 3. Just a few little moments there which kind of just set him apart from what was quite a young final. Other than him. He's 33. Mejdi is kind of 19, 18 kind of thing. All those other guys are super young. And that raw kind of talent and that raw kind of just going for it obviously counts for a lot, but it's so nice to see somebody that has been around the block, been on the scene for a long time, and just that coolness under pressure allowed him to kind of get the holds where he really needs to get them.
Well, it was a super, super special win. Also in the interview afterwards that he said, I just wanted to be the best once.
Yeah.
And what an occasion to be the best at.
Let's go back to the texture holds. I know I kind of skirted over it, but I think that was super interesting as well.
I thought we were keeping this now.
I know, but the no texture holds. The fact that they did that for the first time ever, the fact that people were not chalking up, it was the opposite of the normality of climbing. That for me is super interesting. That is now something that they're kind of trying to bring into these competitions.
It was really cool from the route setters to play into this new holds, and it's a good thing that it worked out because sometimes they try this new moves and it doesn't really pay off. But in this occasion, it did. And
it was Nikolai Uznik who was the only guy that made it to the top.
Nikolai, yeah.
Because I think what's important to say about Mika is that he didn't take the chalk, did he?
Well, I guess he didn't need that extra. He just needed the zone.
So he only needed the zone in the final boulder, and then so the zone was the no texture holds, and then to the zone, and then after that was like the texture holds.
Yeah.
I think that like for me is something that is cool to kind of see that like being introduced after such a long time of like I spoke to Matt before this, and he was like, just the climbers are too strong. They need like to try something else kind of thing.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, I feel there's this year the holds, the stripy holds came into place, the texture and dual texture things. You know, they're playing with those holds more. Yeah, I guess something new.
What's next? Women's boulder.
Women's boulder round. Zelia Avizu was the first woman out on of the round, and she had a great final. I honestly think she was like a podium contender until Brooke flashed that last climb. But it was her first final. She climbed so well. She really demonstrated like all her strengths. It was cool to see her in this final. And then there was a little timer moment with Oriane, which probably gave her, because the timer didn't work.
Okay.
Like the 4-minute clock didn't actually tick down. So she had 3:25 on the clock, and she gave an attempt to the boulder, and they kind of took her backstage and then let her try again. And there's a whole press conference about this, so you know you can listen to her talk as well about this situation. But yeah, another athlete that we saw in really good shape and very consistent also on all the boulders. And then obviously we gotta mention the GOAT.
Indeed, yeah. It's just flashed everything, right?
Flashed everything. Do we need to say her name?
Madame Garnbret.
Just flashed everything.
No, it was amazing. Like the fact that she flashed everything in semis as well, and she pretty much flashed everything in the qualification round as well. It kind of goes to show you how much further ahead she is than anybody else. I think Oriane Berton like climbed super well, but obviously she's kind of like still quite long behind. It's interesting that over the years, and this is kind of like true in lead as well, that there's always been like we've always tried to kind of big up these rivalries at the top between Janja and Jessie Pills and
we tried to
Mori
do that. Oh, okay.
And we did like Oriane Berton. I've been like, I think just generally climbing is always looking for somebody that's kind of like pushing her, like Cheon Sun was one a while ago. And the consistent thing of all of that is that Janja is just that much better than everybody else kind of thing. And she always wins those rivalries. I think a while ago we tried to kind of big up the rivalry between her and Oriane. I'm not saying that Oriane isn't anywhere near her, but in many ways she's not actually anywhere near her. Like Janja is so far ahead and so consistent that she just kind of continues to beat everyone and to beat all her rivals effectively. A nice
thing that she mentioned in the interview afterwards was that she just wants to be the best climbing version of herself. You know, she wants to give it her all. Like, she knows if she climbs out of her best, this will happen. Like, well, gold.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, massive.
Still very humble though. Like, I think.
Yeah.
Her interview afterwards, she's still.
She's also like, because it is. Like, you never know, you know, like any day, little things can go wrong. Like, say you slip, you take a bad fall, like, it's climbing, anything can happen. And the fact that she is so consistent, and this is her 3rd World Championship boulder gold medal, says quite something.
Yeah. I guess it shows also that the drive is still there as well, you know? Like, if she's still that psyched to be on top of the podium, then, you know, hopefully that means that her hunger is still there and she's not like thinking, maybe I'll try something else. Maybe I guess she's that kind of ultimate prize of the Olympics is still there, and hopefully she'll continue kind of keeping that fire burning.
Yes, indeed. And from the women's bouldering round, the next day they had the lead final, which was, again, back to back. It seemed like a very long climbing weekend in my head.
Yeah, right.
Just climbing every day. You know, you do it outdoors and then you come back home and there's hours and
climbing
hours
bonanza,
of climbing.
24 hours.
Kind of. But the women's lead final, what can we say about that? Anything that you noticed that you want to point out of somebody that climbed particularly well, or the route itself?
The women's lead final, for me, the big takeaway obviously was like Mori and Janja kind of fighting out for the top. Again, like we just spoke about that kind of rivalry aspect. I think Aimori's probably been the one that has challenged her the most in lead, at least.
Yeah, Aimori and Cheonso.
Yeah, absolutely. It was quite fitting that those guys finished top
on the
three.
podium. Yes.
I enjoyed that podium, and it felt like the right order at the time, and it felt like the right order for the status of where those guys are at the moment. Aimori is kind of just sneaking ahead of Janja.
Yeah, and it was a competition that, again, you'd see how much the semi-final round is important, and it was, I guess, it was cool that they both topped the route and count back in time. They both made a difference. Aimori definitely got redeemed on this climb compared to the Boulder final the day before, because it was a tough round for her, and then getting that golden lead probably also shows that Janja was probably a bit tired from all the splashes. Like, she still climbed less, but maybe, in a more intense way.
Yeah.
But that was the only other thing on the women's route. I didn't find it too particularly exciting. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's the fridge huggy moves at the bottom did change a lot of climbers' beta, and just their sequences were different. At least, the audience would see something a bit different. But the whole route was just a bit, I don't know, maybe I wasn't paying too much attention, but I wasn't that entertained.
You can say it. Go on,
to be honest.
Teresa.
I wasn't that entertained.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bit too much, a bit too uppy, not too much interesting body movements.
I don't know. It was just a bit, I just expected something different, which just means that I shouldn't expect. I shouldn't have expectations.
How was those expectations when it came to the men's route? Was there a comparison there? Did you find that the men's route was actually quite interesting? Or?
I was a bit done by then watching. I'm joking. The men's route had this. It wasn't really a stopper move, but it had this big dyno in the middle that did kind of interrupt the flow of the climb, which we've seen that before on the men's final, on the men's routes in general. And yes, that dyno did cause an issue for Toby Roberts, who unfortunately fell on that swing, which was so surprising. Like, last climber out, we were expecting a fight, right? Like, we were expecting him at the top, like looking back at the clock, like trying to, and it didn't quite happen. And then, the Ondra slipping, misreading the sequence as well. That was odd. I don't have any other way to describe it besides, yes, it was a bit strange. But then I thought, 10 finalists. Ondra was the 9th out and Toby the 10th out. Was the route just a bit, dirty? Did it need a little brush?
Yeah, maybe. I think that's a good call. That's good little bit of insight, I think.
Because they brush it in semifinals. I understand it's 26 semifinalists, but maybe it would have made a difference. Because they cleaned the holds after every attempt in bouldering. And in the lead, the last climbers is just expected to climb a dirty route.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good point.
So I was just maybe it wasn't totally fair.
I know that they obviously just go for it in the bouldering and they just kind of clean the routes and it's kind of a given. But how do you kind of keep that consistency within each climber? Will it slow down the kind of spectacle of the event? I can see why they don't do it, but I can see that it could become an effect after a while. I think it's also quite interesting from that final that, obviously there are, again, it's that experience of, being able to turn it on when the stakes are that high. I think it can't be... Jakob Schubert and also Alex Magos as well is very experienced. Obviously Adam Ondra kind of slipped, but it is quite a bit more hyped up, this kind of Bern World Championships. It is a bit of a bigger spectacle. And those guys that have kind of maybe got used to maybe something a little bit smaller within the IFSC, kind of the normal type of World Cup kind of championship going round, World Cup rounds going round. This is obviously a bit more hyped up. It's in a bigger hall, it's a bigger crowd. The crowd's big.
It doesn't look full, the stadium though.
But it is that kind of multi-tiered type aspect to it. I was going
to say the prices of the tickets were very high.
Right. Okay. But I don't know. I think that aspect. I've having spoken to Charlie Bosco, Matt Groom has mentioned it as well, that he says that the one guy that kind of can turn it on when the stakes are really high, almost 100% is Jakob Schubert. He knows how to kind of bring his A game, get in the flow when he really, really needs to. And big athletes always talk about that kind of concept of getting in the flow of like climbing their best when they really need to. And it's consistently said over the years that Jakob Schuber is one of the athletes that can actually do it. His mental game is like much better than anybody else's. And I think that experience again kind of sees him do some pretty amazing things at a relatively older age than most other athletes. And you can see that inexperience in some cases, like Toby, accounts for him kind of maybe falling a little bit earlier than others, I would say.
Indeed. And this is just the first part of the Bern World Championships, because now the combined event is coming up.
Yeah.
So
are you excited for that?
Am I? Yes. I was kind of happy with watching a lot of climbing, and now there's even more climbing, but I hope to see some other athletes we didn't quite see in semifinals or finals. Who knows? We'll see.
I think one more thing I want to say is Petra Klingler. It's her final. She retired, kind of announced her retirement from like World Championships kind of thing. This is going to be her last World Championship.
I think she's still trying out for the Olympics.
The Olympics, yeah.
But in terms of World Champs, this is the last one.
And it's nice that it was in Switzerland. She got a raucous, like a big round of applause. Like probably quite emotional as well, I'd say. She's been on, again, she's another experienced athlete.
World Championship winner
back in Paris. So really kind of sad to see her go, but excited to see what she gets up to next, because she's a multi-sports, multi-category athlete, climber.
Indeed.
Does a little bit of everything, so I'm sure she's going to be getting out some really cool stuff. She's a Red Bull athlete as well, so I'm sure there'll be a little bit of funding there as well, probably.
She'll be at the event in November.
Oh yeah, okay. Nice. Awesome. Which event?
Cool. The Jewel Ascent, where they climb on the dam.
Nice, of course, yes. Sorry, the Red Bull Jewel Dam Ascent. Yeah, okay, nice.
Is
Which
that
we
it?
will hopefully be at as well. Fingers crossed.
That's it for this comp, yes. Let's move on to the 9B counter, but there have been no 9Bs this week since everybody was at the World Championships.
Shop stuff this week is 30% off camping and La Sportiva back in stock.
All the La Sportiva shoes. And Scarpa.
No, not Scarpa.
It's not Scarpa?
In the UK it's Scarpa, yeah.
So on Epic TV UK. So if you live
Epic TV UK, Scarpa back in stock. Epic TV EU, La Sportiva back in stock. So actually everywhere La Sportiva back in stock. Comment of the week, I don't think we need to do it. I think we've done enough. Lots of Bern special. Keep watching, let us know what you think. What were the big talking points in the comments below, and we'll see you next week.